Hi, Jocasta. How are you?
Really well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You're our third guest of True Tales from Harrods. And today we're going to get to know a little bit more about you and your role here at Harrods. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you do here at Harrods because your role is intriguing to many. So if you could tell us, I suppose, explain it to us as if you were telling a friend what you do here at Harrods.
Yes, and many friends have asked
I'm
me.
sure they are. They do.
Usually, when someone hears Director of Private Services at Harrods, their mind immediately goes to private shopping.
Yeah.
And that is a big part of what we do, of course, but it is so much more. The team comprises about 300 people.
Wow.
And that just shows you just how much they are involved
Never guess
in.
the scale, would you?
Exactly. And they look after what I would call all the needs of our top clients within Harrods and also outside the four walls of Harrods. So anything that could constitute a service that might be of interest. For example, we have a concierge team, and concierge look after all ticketing for major events. They can book travel, they can organize weddings, they can organize children's birthday parties, they decorate clients' homes for Christmas. We have an interior design team that have decorated and designed palaces around the world and major homes. They're very little known service, but they are available to our clients at Harrods. And of course, we have private shopping and personal shopping, and a marketing team and events team and a team that do gifting. So the whole host of services that surround our top clients.
Wow. That's amazing. It must be an incredibly exciting job, probably incredibly challenging, I would imagine as well. So I suppose where I'd love to start with today is understanding a little bit more of the journey, because sort of to get to this role where you are today, have there been moments in, your early years, in your early career that have sort of led you to this path and being the director here at Harrods of such an incredible institution that is, the private services operation?
Definitely. Starting at the really early stages, I come from a very big family.
Okay.
I have two sisters and a brother. I have first cousins who are Peruvian. My grandmother was French Greek. My mother's English. Surrounded by a very multicultural family and a very big family. A typical dinner party at our house was 15 to 30 people. And I was the least shy of the children.
And you've been at Harrods for 2 years?
2 years, a little over.
That's gone incredibly quickly.
Yes, it has.
And you obviously have been brought into, this amazing space. So what's been sort of some of those highlights over the last 2 years, leading this, incredible private services offering? What bits stand out to you?
The transition from the old space to the new space. Yeah. I know that a lot of clients had sentimental value attached to the old space. Yeah. So there were even team members, but it was too small. Once we'd started to engage and recruit new team members, the space became very constricted, and we did our last Christmas in that space. And I have to say, everybody really pulled together to make that seamless for the clients. Right. It felt like we were really trying to, the behind the scenes needs to be behind the scenes and not in front of the scenes. But the team do it with real care and real passion. And I think that really translates across, that they genuinely care whether the client has a great experience or not. And then moving into the new space, that 1 month in, I remember thinking, when will this event be over? Because I literally felt like it was, a big event that you're hosting, and then you've hosted the event, and then at some point you need a respite. But the momentum just kept building, whether it was with brand partners or with clients. And again, the team really pulled together to make it a seamless experience.
That's amazing. So, there must be so many incredible highlights and stories, but as a leader, we don't always have, not everything runs perfectly. And I particularly imagine moving into this new space, it comes with teething problems. So as a leader, how have you sort of navigated some of those challenges? And I go back to your team as well. How have you supported them in some of those more difficult times that we all experience?
Yes. I think it's a part and parcel of the job. And no day is the same. Every day has new events and is totally different to the last. So the team have to be agile and have to be able to problem solve. And that's something that I love doing. If I have a day without problems, I get bored. So I need problems every day. But again, I will lean on the judgment of people that I trust.
Brilliant.
And I have people like that around me, which is great. And either they validate or they challenge my judgment. But what that means is that we come up with the best solutions to solve things.
And ultimately, that's what the client then experiences at the
There's
end of
very
it.
few problems that we can't overcome. And sometimes it's also just taking a step back and taking a breath and looking at it with fresh eyes is helpful.
Okay. And, given the kind of expectation that you and your team have on you to deliver this world-class experience for, our clients, how do you operate in that space as a leader in that incredibly high-pressured scenario? How do you navigate that? How do you bring your team and keep them calm when maybe, like you said, behind the scenes you're like a swan, right? You're paddling underneath the water, but actually you have to appear very swan-like on the top.
It's everyone in the team has a role to play, and everybody's responsible for the client experience. So we all own the client. That's one thing. And so I observe it a lot with the team. I've seen transaction assistants advise a client on a dress, and I've seen porters support team members with things. So people do step in to support each other, and also have this close-knit working relationship. The other thing is that everybody needs to be treated like a client. So we have 3 stakeholders in private shopping: the business, our colleagues, our brands, and our clients. And I always say you have to treat everyone like a client. That's the minimum expected standard for service and experience. It's how you build relationships of trust, how you can then call somebody and lean on them. If you've shown them that kind of experience, then they will reciprocate. And it's extremely important, to understand and be able to offer that type of experience to everybody we interact with. So we encourage people to treat each other like clients, to treat the brands like clients, and the clients like clients.
And in terms of that client experience, how do you teach that as a leader? Because I know from the things that you've talked about over, the years, that is absolutely what we do brilliantly here at Harrods. So as a leader of that team that is delivering that exceptional sort of service and standards, what does that look like as a leader?
Continuous feedback, continuous training. We're lucky at Harrods that we hire based on values. So we hire good people who genuinely care. And it really is what struck me when I started working here, about how much people cared about their clients and the business. And building on that great base is the training, is the continuous feedback. I meet with clients all the time, and I gather feedback all the time, and I feed that back to the teams continuously. And there's always something there for us to pick up on and build on and improve on. A lot of it is very positive, but I also need to know what we're not doing well enough so that we can improve on it.
And so, working with clients, what has influenced you in ways of working? Like, what you've talked about feedback, which is incredibly important. So what have those influences looked like, and how has that evolved the service offering over the last few years?
I have incredibly high standards. My friends always say, take Jocasta on a holiday with you, because you're going to get the best out of every hotel, every restaurant.
They organise the holiday.
I'll immediately meet with the manager. We'll have a chat. Just making sure everything is running smoothly.
Amazing.
I think when you have very high standards and very high expectations, you can then apply that in your working environment, and you think like the client, you think for the client, and that's our job in the end, to make sure that the environment we're building is fit for purpose. And it comes down to the authentic, genuine touches. I think you can follow processes, and that's an easy check, to do, but to really genuinely build relationships of trust and care means you genuinely have to indicate in that way and display those attributes.
Could you give us an example of that?
Yes, of course. I mean, I know a couple of clients really well, and I will give them a call just to check in on how they are, how they're finding the service. Is everything okay? Is there anything I can do? And not only that, when I take time to go on a trip with a client, I make sure they're my singular focus, because it's an opportunity for me to really immerse myself in A, the experience with the brand, but B, really be in touch with what the client is experiencing themselves, and be able to build on that.
It's amazing, isn't it? And actually a real focus right now for us is around the brilliant basics, and how actually that really sets, if you get those little small things wrong, it can create a whole host of different problems and issues. So actually just having that real simple touch point with a client can provide you with so much insight, and that giving that back to your teams is like gold dust, I'd imagine.
Yes. I think so.
I totally agree with you. Okay, fab. So in terms of just going back to leadership then, have there been any kind of leadership lessons that you've learned through your career that has really shaped, who you are today and how you show up for your teams?
Absolutely. I had a moment when I was working at Christie's. I had my first been made a manager of a team, and it was a large team. And as I'm very motivated by the mission, and I love organization, and like knowing where we're going and how we're getting there, and that really gives me great joy and pleasure at work. It really is my fuel.
Okay.
And I did a 360 evaluation with my team after working with them for 8 months. And I was very surprised to see that a lot of the team felt that I had been driving them quite hard, and they weren't very happy about it. And it was a great surprise, but also a great lesson. Because in the end of the day, of course, I wanted my team to be happy, and I thought I was doing what would make everyone happy, because we're delivering excellent results. We're doing it efficiently. You all know what you're getting into, but there was a lack of the emotional, personalized approach. And I think the lesson for me was, what motivates you doesn't motivate necessarily other people. In order to get the best out of people, you need to really understand what motivates them.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. And now, in your role now, I presume you have a clear mission and a clear strategy. So how have you taken that lesson and applied it to today? Like, how do you bring people, I suppose it's on the journey of that, that ultimate goal?
Yes, no, I've been through many transitions since then.
Yeah,
I have
I'm sure.
I embrace the team wholeheartedly. For me, the best time of my day is spending time with my team, and they know that, and they joke about it. So we have regular leadership meetings. I share a lot of what's happening with the team to get their views on it. We exchange ideas, and I like to think that it's a much more open way of communicating, but also understanding what motivates each one of my team, and how to support them to drive excellence within their area.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So, as you know, we're currently focusing on something we're calling everyday excellence, which is our focus on a high performance culture here at Harrods. And the second chapter is all about collaboration. Instead of being in our silos, really collaborating as an organisation to, like you said, give the client the best experience. Like, that is all of our ultimate goals, isn't it? Regardless of where you work, that's our goal. So from your perspective, how does strong collaboration behind the scenes change how we show up for the client, really? I suppose the experience that they receive.
Yeah, it changes it enormously. I think the challenge we have is that everybody's very busy and everybody gets on with it. So head down, moving in one direction. I know what I need to get done, and there isn't time to build those bridges always. So what I try to encourage is know your stakeholders, spend time every month with those stakeholders. So whether it's operations sitting with the shoppers, or whether it's operations sitting with transaction services and the broader supply chain team, there has to be, you need to know who your stakeholders are, and you need to spend time with them, because you need to build those relationships. And often I'll encourage the team to invite their stakeholders to the penthouse, look after them, help them understand what we are trying to deliver, because that way they're more bought in to support us to deliver an exceptional experience.
Yeah. And I probably underestimate how much, and I'm sure listeners will as well, how much goes into your world and making this, front of house experience seem seamless. It would be, you said it's a 300 strong team, but I'm sure there's probably lots of parts of the business that play their part as well. Is that right?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, again, if the cleaners don't turn up one day, we're all in trouble. So it's a very multidisciplinary, very integrated part of the business that relies on a lot of support from other key areas. But again, even within private shopping, we have 11 different roles, and each one of those, and 6 different really big pillars of operations, but they have to be very interconnected in how they operate. So people need to be aware of what's happening and what the objectives are, what the goals are, and what the mission is, so that they're all working together.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, it's fascinating. And I suppose you mentioned something earlier. I don't know if this will be your example, but you talked about, I suppose if you could think about a time when, those teams have had to come together to really deliver something. Is there any kind of moments that really stand out in your mind?
Yes.
You mentioned Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Christmas was the big one.
Yeah.
Actually, Christmas and our peak in August.
Okay.
We have a peak in August, and it was during the time that we did the Loop survey. And for private shopping and private services, it's generally the worst time of the year, because we are busiest. So we're trying to get people off the floor to do the Loop survey. And I was very impressed, by the amount of respondents we had, but also that in the feedback it said they still had capacity to do more.
Oh wow. So the Loop survey is our engagement survey, and that happens every July. So I can imagine, so they said they could do more.
They said they could do more. And I think it's an incredible team ethos and spirit that they really come together during these peak periods, and then they're energized.
Yeah. It's that care factor maybe that you described already, that they've got that kind of clear vision and mission, and they want to support their clients the best they possibly can. You talked about that Christmas. What was it about that Christmas then that kind of created that sort of real high energy team experience?
Everybody is very busy during Christmas, right? We have a lot of clients that need gifting requests. We have a lot of travel being booked through concierge. We're brainstorming special gifting. We're doing hundreds of hampers that are bespoke, each one. We need more stock space to be able to put everything together. We equate to 40% of dispatch for the whole store. So everybody on every side is running, and we had members of the team support to do various jobs that weren't necessarily their primary job. For example, myself and somebody else from the team did gift wrapping for a day, just to make sure that we could get through some of the gift wrapping. And I know other team members did other roles, but we also have our Christmas celebration and our Christmas gifting and all of that going out at the same time. So it's all hands on deck.
And it really counts, doesn't it? I think at those times when it's incredibly busy, and I know Anna in the previous podcast talked about how she went and worked on the cheese counter because they were short on the day. And actually she learned so much from actually spending time, with customers and her team. And the same as you, gift wrapping.
Absolutely.
You have a real appreciation, don't you, for what's going on?
Oh, completely, yes.
Yeah, interesting. And so in those sort of really incredibly, busy periods, as a leader, how do you kind of bring your team through that? Because you just said they said they could do more, but there's something in your team and your culture within this within private services that you as a leader must, I suppose, instill that kind of feeling. What is it, do you think?
Look, I'm going to start by saying there's still more we can do, of course, and that every day we're learning, what is the best thing to do. We host breakfast for the team every month. That's an opportunity, really. We do one for the managers and one for the full team, and that's an opportunity for people to come together, exchange ideas, connect over a cup of coffee, and sort of take an hour to really have a conversation, but hear also business news and messages. We host, as I said, a lot of stakeholder meetings. So there's an opportunity to build those relationships across the business. And we also host away days, which is a time for the team to come out of the business, reflect on what we've done, reflect on what's coming up, but also team build and have moments that are memorable together.
Yeah, how interesting. And if you were to look at your career where it is today, being that sort of little girl in your family scenario, the sort of spokesperson for the family, has your career sort of gone in the direction that you wanted it to, and has it, have all of those steps been I suppose if you were looking back, is there anything that you think, I should have done this or I should have done that? Is there anything that you think I should have done that differently, or do you think everything happens for a reason?
No, I really believe that you make the job what it needs to be.
Yeah,
I think if you're not giving 100%, you're also not getting 100% out of it. I've had many twists and turns in my career. I started at Christie's, which was my dream. And I was offered a very senior role at Sotheby's when I was 25 years old that would have been at the time the pinnacle of my aspiration within the auction world. And I wasn't able to take it because of non-compete. But I was offered something different within Christie's, and that was the change manager role, where I led a project that I had to report into the board. And that was that kickstart my career in change. And I wouldn't have done that had I been business manager at Sotheby's. Although that was what I, at the time, was the pinnacle of my career. I mean, I still think it would have been an amazing job, don't get me wrong. But I do believe that, sometimes you follow a path and you make that what it needs to be. You take the most out of it, you learn. And you evolve, and one thing leads to another.
We coin it the squiggly career, and sometimes you get more from a squiggly career than you do from just a linear career. And actually, as you said, it is about taking the most from every opportunity, and you always learn, right? There's always opportunity to learn something new.
I'm not advocating for one or the other. My husband's done the straight, and I've done the squiggly. But this is just my nature. I'm incredibly curious. I volunteered for an NGO for a year because I really wanted to understand how you can influence public opinion and government policy, right? So that's not something that he would be passionate about. He's very clear about where he's going. He's very clear about how he's getting there. And he's got a clear plan every year, and he knows he'll say no to this and he'll say yes to this. Whereas for me, it's I'm also very curious, and I'm more open to the unexpected.
It comes down to a little bit as well, doesn't it? That risk, a bit like taking risk, being comfortable in that space of taking risk. Similarly, my husband is not the risk taker either, and they're actually in similar industries as well. So maybe it says something about them. But actually, feeling comfortable in the uncomfortable is is something that's quite innate, I think, as a value and intrinsic value. So, Jocasta, as always, we set our speakers a little task, and you're no different. I'm going to read this out. So, your task was to bring an object, a story, or an image that reflects a luxury experience that you've personally had, one that felt effortless in the moment but stayed with you long after. And I know you've prepared a little story for us. Please share if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. So I've experienced overwhelming hospitality.
Okay.
And for me, this hospitality, opening your home or your, being with friends, and the generosity of that hospitality is true luxury. I was invited by a very good friend of mine to her childhood friend boat at the Monaco Grand Prix.
Wow.
And she hadn't told me much about him. We're just going to stay on this boat.
Okay.
We were met at the airport with the private car, the helicopter, taken down to the port.
Amazing.
And then I find out that we're staying on the boat of the sponsors of the Toyota team.
Wow.
And we are hosted with such grace and elegance and genuinely warmth as well. We're given access to the paddocks, all of the events. I mean, I saw the Formula One in a way that I can never see it again. I've literally said to the team, please don't invite me back. I cannot go. Just
forever.
can never do it again.
Yeah.
But I've had similar experiences where literally I go to Egypt and a friend of a friend is like, you must come to my brother's wedding. And I've had the most overwhelming hospitality. I think for me, those are really special moments.
Right.
And you get to see and experience something from an insider's perspective.
Yeah.
And it truly is the money can't buy experience, something you wouldn't normally do. And I try to bring that to the way we execute for clients.
Yeah.
It's think of it in a way that feels enormously personal.
Yeah.
That's like opening up your home. If you're going to give access, don't just do the usual. Do something a little bit more unusual.
Right.
Because, it is possible.
Yeah. So it's almost that sort of surprise and delight, but with that real human, personal, which is actually really leans into our values, I suppose, doesn't it, as well, of who we are.
I mean, I was having dinner with the drivers and eating lobsters on the deck.
That is absolutely...
And I had no idea.
Once in a lifetime
I
experience.
literally just said, yes, I'll come with you to the Grand Prix.
So if she invites you again, you're definitely going.
Absolutely. Anywhere she invites me, I am there.
Oh, well, Jocasta, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to get to know your world and you, because it is something that I think people are so fascinated to know more about and learn, what it takes really to kind of
it's my pleasure
to lead this. So a big thank you from all of us here today, and
thank you.
I'm sure we'll speak soon. Thank you.